While Republicans chase culture wars and conspiracy cliques, America's biotech lead is collapsing right under their noses. And the experts are warning Congress that we could lose everything in just a few years. This isn't politics. This is about whether the U.S. can still save lives, innovate, and compete. And the urgency they're describing? It's nowhere to be found on the Republican side.
And Mr. Crowley, I'd love to start with you. Just a quick question here. Would you say that the U.S. right now is the leading country in the world when it comes to biotech?
Senator, yes, we are the leading country in the world when it comes to biotechnology, but China is a rising competitive threat and a rising threat in general.
So in that case, so right now you can say definitively we are
in the lead
leading
today.
country. What about in 10 to 20 years from now? Can you make that same definitive statement?
No, not at all. In fact, it's a lot sooner than that. If you look at the National Security Commission report on emerging biotechnology, they have 49 recommendations to strengthen, maintain, and advance our lead in biotechnology. But we need to act boldly, and we need to act today. We believe within 2 to 3 years we can lose this. To give you some perspective, 10 years ago, about 2% of the innovative medicines being developed in the world came from China. A decade later now, it's about 25%.
Mr. Schiller, I mean, what we just heard from Mr. Crowley saying, even within 2 to 3 years that we could be losing our competitive edge here. I really think that the key here is not just what are the steps that are going to move us forward, but for us as a committee and as a country to embrace the urgency of this moment. I guess I want to ask you, are we operating with the level of urgency as a nation, as a government, as an industry that we should be at this point?
Senator, thank you. I don't think we are. And I think there's more we can be doing to try to ensure that the regulatory system, the ecosystem, allows for faster trials getting off the ground in the United States so that less of that research is moving out to other countries.
Mr. Macauer, you talked about, Dr. Macauer, you talked about this in terms of the challenges that we're facing, whether it's about reviewers and turnover on that front, or just resources writ large. I guess I want to ask you in terms of the FDA, does the FDA have the resources and the staffing needed right now to be able to meet this urgency that we've been talking about in terms of our global lead on biotech?
Thank you for the question, Senator. We could do much better. We absolutely should be refilling vacancies one-to-one. We absolutely need to deploy the latest technologies in reviews. Most importantly, to be competitive, we need to reinforce and deeply invest in our U.S. scientific and clinical infrastructure. That science has propelled innovation in this country, and it's absolutely important. We also need to support intellectual property and stand behind our U.S. innovations and fight infringing entities who are coming mostly from China that are utilizing our intellectual property to create their businesses. So these are the types of things we can do to support our competitiveness in this effort.
No, and I think we absolutely need to be taking that on. But when it comes to the FDA, I will say, when I hear what you're saying when you're saying we need to backfill one for one,
yep,
based off of what's happened. But I also just want to make sure, like, we're not just trying to tread water here.
Right.
You know, we're really trying to figure out how we can move forward. Like everyone here, I feel like none of you would say that we're on the trajectory that we need to be in terms and the urgency that we need to be on. So I just urge this committee to, yes, we can think of some steps and we can ask this question, are we on the right path? And backfilling one-to-one, that can be part of it. But it's not just about are we on the right path, it's are we with the right velocity that we're trying to be moving forward on. And, Mr. Schiller, just wanted to go back to you. I mean, one thing that could really unlock some of this velocity is about AI and utilizing that to be able to supercharge our research. What regulatory or statutory changes do you think are necessary to encourage the innovative use of AI?
So the most exciting uses of AI in drug development involve reducing the time, the expense of drug discovery and getting compounds into clinical trials. And if we can find ways to move from that process into first-in-human studies more efficiently and move from computer trials to human trials, that would help substantially. And then leveraging AI as a tool within our clinical trial infrastructure, I think there's much more that we can be doing where AI can help with decentralized and community-based trials, helping with trial recruitment. The more those tools are leveraged, the more competitive our system becomes.
Thank you. I really just want to hit home here as I conclude, that the one word here for me is about urgency. And I don't want to think about it just in terms of the urgency for economic gain or the urgency for geostrategic leadership. I thought, Mr. Crowley, your opening of your testimony, it was about the urgency of a dad, an urgency of a parent. And I hope our nation moves with that same level of urgency and speed that we would as a parent trying to save the lives of our children. And this is really, sometimes it gets lost in this talk about just industries and whatnot. But what this really should be about is about saving lives and the ability for our country to save millions of lives around our country and around the world. And with that, I'll yield back.
This hearing is one of those moments where the experts are practically yelling, "Wake up!" And yet you can still feel the political system dragging its feet. Senator Andy Kim lays out a simple question. Are we still the world leader in biotechnology? And yes, today we are. But the part everyone needs to pay attention to is what comes next, because the experts are telling Congress that within 2 or 3 years, not decades, the United States could lose that lead entirely. Think about how fast that is. In 1 decade, China went from developing just 2% of the world's new medicines to 25%. That is a transformation, and it didn't happen by accident. China invested, they planned, they centralized resources, and they built an ecosystem designed to take the lead while America's political system keeps stumbling over the same ideological potholes. And here's the thing, Kim isn't asking some abstract, big-picture geopolitical question, he's asking about urgency, the one ingredient this country keeps missing every time scientific leadership is at stake. The experts tell him plainly that the U.S. is not acting with the speed or seriousness required. Our clinical trial infrastructure is too slow. The FDA is understaffed. The process for approving new research is outdated, and we're letting other countries become more attractive for cutting-edge science than the United States of America. That should be unthinkable. What's even more infuriating is that the fixes aren't mysterious. They're not impossible. They're straightforward. Refill FDA vacancies 1-to-1. Invest aggressively in scientific infrastructure. Protect American intellectual property from being siphoned abroad. And use AI to accelerate drug discovery and clinical trials. These are real solutions, real investments, and they require a government that actually believes in science, regulation, and long-term national planning. But that's where the problem comes in. Because while Democrats are trying to talk about the future, how to develop life-saving medicines faster, how to compete globally, how to keep innovation here, Republicans are wasting their time on culture war hearings, political stunts, and manufactured outrage. They'll spend hours screaming about TikTok or Hunter Biden or whatever the outrage flavor of the week is, but when it comes to real national security issues like biotech leadership, they disappear. The void is deafening. And Andy Kim closes on the point that almost never gets said out loud. This isn't just about economics. It's not just about innovation in some corporate sense. It's about lives. The urgency he wants America to feel is the urgency of a parent trying to save their child. The urgency of needing new medicines, new treatments, new cures. When we fall behind, real people suffer. When we delay, people lose years. When we politicize science, people die. This conversation should be front-page news. It should be the one thing that unites Congress. But instead, it's another reminder that the people most responsible for protecting the country's long-term interests are the ones most distracted by their own short-term politics. If you're tired of watching America sleepwalk into preventable crises while the right wing focuses on everything except what matters, make sure you stay locked in to Left Lens. Subscribe, share this video, and help push these conversations into the spotlight where they belong. Lives are on the line, and silence is not an option.